I'm doing this video today because I think it is very important and not talked about enough. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Lindsay, for those of you new to my channel. Today, I am going to talk about the 4 or 5 things your boss should never do. And I just had this thought, there are probably bosses watching this, and I'm really hoping that you follow these best practices. I have been an employee more of my life than I have been my own boss. And as an employee, I've been hired, fired, humiliated, loved, hated, glorified, demeaned, discredited. Literally, it's all happened to me as an employee, which actually, being an employee has been the boot camp for my life, because now I'm the CEO of a company and I am the boss to a decent amount of people. And these are the things that I learned a boss should never do. This is such an important one. Well, they're all important, but your boss should never yell or get aggressive with you. Raise your hand if this has happened to you. Me. I have been absolutely humiliated by bosses and executives in the past. One of the most vivid memories I have was when I was at one of the biggest shows in television, and one of the executives came up to me and shook his finger and put it so close to my nose that I could almost feel it, and just shook it right at me. Completely out of bounds, completely inappropriate. And one would say, why didn't you go to human resources? Well, you know, human resources works for the company, and in my experiences is not in the best interest of the employee. Just my opinion. I digress. There is no excuses or exceptions for this. They can get frustrated, they can be difficult, it happens. But if it gets to a point where there is verbal abuse or it is a toxic work environment, you need to have a hard think about if you need to switch careers and jobs. And if you're one of those people who are in a compromising position in a toxic work environment and you're scared to maybe move on, get a new career, I just want to give you the encouragement that you can find something better. You can find a healthy work environment. You can. And I really want to give you all that confidence to give you the courage to move on if you are in a situation that is unhealthy. Your boss should never be habitually late in paying you or forget to pay you. Let me be very clear. If your boss frequently forgets to pay you or is delayed in paying you, they got a serious issue with their company. Either they're super disorganized with their finances, or they may not have the money to pay you in that moment. All super red flags. And you know what? Should never, ever fall on you, the employee. That's not your problem. Whatever it is you've already worked, you need to be paid on the agreed upon date that you guys agreed, and your payments should never be late. The only exception is if maybe, your employer is switching over to a new payment system or a new bookkeeper, because sometimes things go wrong in transitional periods. But anything that happens frequently is not good. I know some people are like, oh, then what do I say if my boss is always late in paying you? All you have to say is casually and have your facts. Hey, I haven't been paid on time for the past, 4 paychecks, and I really need to be paid on the date that we agreed upon. How can this be improved? Because I have bills to pay that are due on these dates, and I'm getting behind, and I really need your help to fix this. And then hear what they have to say. And then if their response is excuses or whatnot, maybe you need to have a hard think about your employment situation, and you may need to move on to do what's best for you. This is an interesting one because truly I became a stylist by doing this one specific thing. Your boss should never ask you to work hours or longer hours without paying you. Now, there are exceptions if you have, an agreement with a company where you're working on a rev share, so you're not getting paid up front, but you'll get paid after, the company makes money. That's different. There are all different scenarios of whether maybe your company is volunteering their time for an organization and they're asking you to join them. That's different. But if your boss ask Liz like, hey, you know, I just need you to work extra hours this week. Like I don't have the money to pay you. No, wrong. If you're in this scenario, all you have to say is, I would really love to help, but I need to be paid. And let's say you love your employer and you know they're a good person, and maybe this is like an isolated situation, maybe some hard times they've come upon and you really want to work with them, then maybe you can throw it back and say, is there anything that you can give me? Like, that's okay to ask. A good person and a good boss will 1000% understand. Now, I need to disclaim this and say I am not an employment lawyer by any means. I am sharing these things because as a CEO and boss myself, these are best practices with running a business and being a good, honest, and fair boss to your employees. Okay, that was kind of a heavy video. No, it wasn't. It was informative, right? You guys will have to let me know what you thought, if you gained some insight, and maybe if I gave you some confidence to have, you know, the tough conversation. Please let me know what you thought in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye. I felt something weird and I can't believe this. My sweater is on backwards, so that happened. It looks fine, right? Looks fine.